Alrighty, it's that time again for Holodiner. For this, it's a twofer, because I was hoping to do something Tokino Sora-centric for Daisenpai, but since Aqua just announced that she was graduating, was thinking of doing something Aquacentric, but decided to do for the whole of Gen 2, because, you know, why not? I was saving group dishes until I did all the talents, but this is a special exception. So, let's get to it. We're gonna get the things that will cook long out of the way. First off, for Sora, would be cooking the adzuki beans, which I left soaking overnight, and then going to boil it for an hour or so until they're soft and mushable. Next, duck legs. This takes an hour or so to cook as well in the oven. So first, pat it dry, score, or in this case, destroy the skin. And I'm just gonna do a normal dry rub for this, which is just some salt, white pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. Rub that into the meat, and then into the oven for 300 degrees for at least an hour. With those cooking, gonna move on to making the mantou dough for Sora. In making the dough for the mantou, I'm gonna first do 1 teaspoon of yeast and 2 to 3 tablespoons of warm water. Mix it and leave it be for around 5 minutes. And then for the dough itself, 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1¼ teaspoons of sugar, 1/3 cup of milk, and 2 1/4 tablespoons of veggie oil. As a side note, I was letting the yeast ferment or wake up a little bit, so I was preparing something for Ayame, doing the mise en place, whichever, which is, I have no idea how to fit something for Ayame, other than her stating that she's now able to eat green bell peppers, or tolerate it. So, for the sandwich, decided to go with a green bell pepper omelet. After chopping it in small chunks, set it aside until I'm ready to use it. After which, going to add the yeast into the dough mixture. Mix it. I don't have a stand mixer, so I'm mixing it by hand. Mix it until it is a shiny dough ball with no more shagginess to it. Alright, for the dough, after it forms into a smooth ball, just going to flatten it out into a rectangle-ish. I don't have a rolling pin, so use whatever when I do. So at this point in time, my adzuki beans is already soft and mushy. So I'm gonna prep it using 2 tablespoons of white sugar and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Mash that. I don't have a blender, so if you have a blender, the better. But for this, I'm gonna mash it manually with a potato masher. So there's gonna be some chunks here and there. And here, I added 1/4 cup of butter. And then after which, I'm gonna put that in the dough, mantou dough on one end. Roll the mantou dough and divide it into equal parts. put it on parchment paper, and leave that be for at least an hour before steaming. Alright, while those are resting, some stuff is cooking in the back. Gonna prep the duck breasts. I bought duck legs because I was worried the duck breast did not have enough meat for this sandwich. So, decided to buy duck legs along with the duck breast. So for this, pat the duck breasts dry and score the skin. The ingredients that I added for this, making some slits on the meat, is some fresh garlic and some dried rosemary, along with some salt and black pepper. After which, I'm gonna fry the skin to get that golden brown, hoping to give some crispiness to the skin while it's roasting in the oven. And then for this, for the duck breast, just searing the skin off, then into the oven at 400 degrees for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Next is for the duck sauce, which I did for Choco Sensei. For this, using the leftover fat from the duck breast, I added some red onions, so just gonna saute the onions a little bit, and then I'm gonna add some chicken broth to this. Yeah, so this roughly 1.5 cups of chicken broth, and then some orange zest and hand squeeze orange juice. Then add balsamic vinegar. I don't know how much, I just eyeballed it. Then let that reduce a little bit before adding the chocolate. So while that's reducing, letting the mantou rest for an hour, they doubled in size. So I have to cook this in 2 batches. This is just while waiting for the sauce to reduce a little bit. And for this, just steam this for 10 minutes and they're ready. Alright, now we're back with this. After reducing it a little bit, gonna add some dark chocolate. So turn off the heat, add the chocolate. I'm just using the residual heat from the pan and the sauce to melt the chocolate. Mix it, give it a taste test to season, and set it aside until it's ready to be used. At this point of time, duck leg, duck breasts are cooked, so it's time to set up for the bell pepper omelette, which is using 3 eggs, some garlic powder, and some milk to make it more creamy and fluffier. Give that a good mix. Put it in a hot pan, wherein I use the duck fat, duck oil again for lubricant. That's a proper term, right? And then make the omelette. Next, grab a duck leg, then I'm just gonna use part of the leg and the thigh meat and butterflying it, slicing off a piece. And some duck breast as well for the sandwich, and then set it aside for the final assembly. decided to make this into an SAO sandwich based on Aqua's love for SAO. Bought some French bread. Gonna cut it in quarter of a loaf and use that for the sandwich. And then we're ready to assemble. So just use some leafy greens, which is just normal lettuce. Next is duck meat in reference to Subaru. And then for chocolate sensei is the chocolate orange sauce. Next is ayame, which is the bell pepper omelet. And then just added some cheese. For this, decided to go with some Swiss. And then for Shion, I used some fresh garlic powder in the recipes. And then for Aqua, I made this a week before, which is just some pickled onion alongside with some pickled garlic. So this is using some distilled white vinegar and some apple cider vinegar alongside with some chili flakes and mixed peppercorns. I kept that in the fridge for at least a week before today. And that's it. One for Gen 2, we decided to go with, you know what? The HoloExodia sandwich for Gen 2. And then for Tokino Sora, or Daisenpai, some honey red bean mantou to represent the Soratomos. That's gonna be it. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time, see ya.